maybe is Ten Hag not getting a bit of an easy ride here? I mean, like, I think people might be gassing the guy up a little bit too much. I mean, he's come from Ajax, right? I'm not being funny, but how difficult is it to win leagues at Ajax? You know what I mean? And then he's coming to Man United. I think he's done all right. I think he got massively overrated last year, in my personal opinion. I think he's made some mistakes. I think signing Anthony was a terrible decision. And I don't know. I just think that maybe he's been given a bit of an easy ride. And
In what respect, though, LB? What do you mean? Like people bigging him up to say that he's great or something, or what do you mean?
I think people bigged him up last year and said he was better than he was. I didn't see anything special from Man United last year. They conceded 7 in one game to Liverpool. They conceded 6 against Manchester City. Do you know what I mean? There was some horrific performances last year. I think he done well to obviously win the Carabao Cup. I think it handled the Ronaldo situation in my opinion. I thought he handled that quite well. But I don't know. I just think that like it was poor yesterday. I think he should have got rid of David De Gea last year. You know what I mean? If he wanted to play football from the back, well, he should have known. You didn't need a year to find out that David De Gea couldn't play football out from that. That's what Pep Guardiola did that straight away. He walked in and got rid of Joe Hart straight away. You don't need everyone on this panel knows that David De Gea couldn't play the ball. So why didn't he do that? He's still got Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka will never properly thrive in that system, in my opinion. I think he left Casemiro out to dry a little bit last night. I think he should have been able to see after, in my opinion, I watched the full game, after 15 minutes, that Casemiro needed someone just to drop next to him. I think he was being absolutely overrun. Kuna gave him the spin many times. I don't know. Why are people gassing this guy up? Because people do gas him up. I think that we need a reality check here. We've got a manager that's come in from the Eredivisie. He's won a few titles with Ajax. What evidence is this to support that this guy could come in and make Man United? Well, because what he's doing, by the way, is not only trying to make Man United go from shit to a very good team. He's trying to change the whole style of play at the same time. It is a ginormous job. What credentials does he have? Is there any evidence that this guy is going to be able to complete this task? This job is massive. Massive.
Anyone want to answer that?
Yeah, but managers have come in and tried to do this, LB, and they've failed. Big managers. Jose Mourinho come in and tried to put his style of play on.
Yeah, but you didn't give him what he wanted. He wanted to defender straight away, and you said no to him. You know what I mean? You don't do that.
Every point you've made, right, about why didn't he get rid of De Gea last season? Have you not just heard the conversation that we can't get rid of Maguire? We are not a club that can just go out there. We have never been great at selling players. Our biggest sale in the last 5 years, other than, in fact, no, it was Dan James. Dan James to Leeds for £25 million. As a club, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, LB. And I think it's quite wrong to say, oh, well, it's Ten Hag, he's getting too many flowers. I think Ten Hag did very well last season. Obviously, you can say he played in a season where the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, who else was it, Spurs had shockers. But at the same time, I think the stuff that he had to deal with, you've got to remember, he's not just trying to change everything on the pitch, he's trying to change everything off the field. There was a lot of bad eggs at Manchester United the season before last. He then had to deal with that in the pre-season. He then had to deal with all the situations off the field, the sale of the club, everything to try and keep this club going. I actually agree with you. I think the 7-0 loss, I think the other big loss against Brentford was naivety on his part. But I think the guy's doing an okay job. I don't think he's pulling up trees. I'm not sat here saying he's world class. I'm certainly not sat here saying we're going to win the Premier League this season, next season. But I think for me, I think the guy has got to be given the time to do more business. And at the moment, yeah, we have spent a lot of money. And yeah, you can say that the Anthony deal was bang fucking shite. It was correct. But he has got to change an entire squad because this squad.
Does he get a free season then, Dan? Does he get a free hit this? Does he get another free hit this year?
No. Look, obviously I'm pessimistic, but no, I see what you're saying there. No, we have to finish in Champions League football. We have to. It's as simple as that. We're Manchester United. We have to be there. We have to be at the table with the big boys. But at the same time, I don't think the guy's done too much wrong for us to sit here and say, nah, he's done
Can I come back on that, though, Dan? Let me come back on that. So you just said that he's not only changing stuff on the pitch, he's changing stuff off the pitch. My point is, what you're effectively telling me is you've given this guy the keys to drive this vehicle of Manchester United, possibly the biggest club in the world, on the pitch and off the pitch. And my simple sort of question and theory is, what evidence is there to support that this guy is going to do the correct things? He's managed Ajax.
But you could say the same thing about Eddie Howe.
Well, he's not doing the off the field thing. That's
No,
completely.
what I'm saying is, you could say the thing.
No,
No, you could say the same thing about that. You could say exactly the same thing. Eddie Howe was relegated with Bournemouth. I think the guy has got enough red in his ledger to be given the chance to take
No,
this
that's a
club
completely
forward.
different story.
No,
Dan.
it's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
but
It's not.
No, because at Newcastle they've got a board who know what they're doing, and they're also Newcastle are not going.
So you've just said half the argument there, LB. They've got a board that know what they're doing. Have we not sat here for the last 20 minutes saying how?
Yeah, but my point is, you're giving the keys because you just said he's got to try and change it off, and what I'm asking you the question is Ten Hag the right manager to be trying to change it off the
yes, 100%.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that he. What do you mean based on the fact? Based on the fact he's coming and done everything he did last season, the stuff that he's done. I don't think he's done a thing wrong other than the naivety at Anfield. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think every option that he's had available to him, he's handled in the correct way. He can't do any much more than what he's doing now. What would you have him do? LB, what would you have him do?
No. That's not what I'd have him do. What I'm
no, but
questioning.
what do you think he should be doing different? If you're saying that this guy's been given.
Okay, so the first thing I'd do is I'd get a proper director of football and who takes all the decisions about signings away, because the fact that he spent £80 million on Ante is an absolute disgrace, and that proves to me that he doesn't know what he's doing in that. So I'd get a director of football in. Anything I don't know, you know your club more than me. You said that he's trying to change it off the pitch as well. He's a football manager. He's a coach. He shouldn't be doing anything in the background. And I would come, and this is what I'm saying when I come back at you on this, is what has Ten Hag done in the past to prove to you that he can do anything in the background and do it the correct way? So anything that he's doing in the back, which you said, not me, I would take away, and I would put him purely on the football side of it. Because to me, it just seems that like United are putting a lot of trust in a guy who, for me, I'm looking at going, why?
But then the other side of that, LB, and I keep saying it, and I know I keep saying it, and I'm probably going to bore you saying this again, but his hands are tied with the director of football thing. It is. He cannot go out there and say, I want this director of football come in.
The problem's above him, LB. I must.
Exactly that. His hands are tied so fucking tight. You telling me that he got all the players he wanted this season? I know he's been backed with a lot of money, but you saying that they're the players that he wanted?
No, I
agree. Managers don't always get what they want. Managers don't get what they want. And you've emphasised the point, is that you emphasised that last season they played a lot of counter-attacking football because it was almost he was trying to build the team that he wanted to build. He's now gone in the summer after a season where he won a trophy and finished third in the league. Like, respectable, very, very good first season for him. And he's now gone and in the first game against Wolves played exactly the same way that he did for most of the games last season. Like, he hasn't taken the team on, but yet spent a lot of money in doing so. Like, for me, that is about Ten Hag, because he's identified these players. Yes, there might not be the players that he wanted to get, but as I've said, not all managers get the players that they actually want to sign. Like, initially, if they wanted to, he'd have spent a hell of a lot more and got even better players than the ones that he's got. But he's wanted these players, he's identified them, he's got them in, but you are still in the first game of the season against, in my opinion, relegation candidates in Wolves, played exactly the same way, counter-attacking football at home at Old Trafford. For me, if it doesn't ring alarm bells, I don't know what does.
That's the bare minimum to expect in it, Pete.
Like Man United might go on and have a great season. I'm not saying they're going to be shit. I'm not saying you're saying after that one game down that they're going to finish 6th, 5th. I'm not saying that. They can still
I'd like to point out, if we don't bring a couple more players in, I'd say. If we don't bring a couple more players.
I'm looking at their performance, and I watched the game last night, and I'm looking at them, and I'm seeing like Mount being ineffective. I'm seeing Bruno give the ball away time and time again, like he did last season. I'm seeing Rashford turn up when he wants. He did not, in my opinion, Marcus Rashford, and there was question marks in Race for Europe last season about Marcus Rashford, in that he turns up when he wants. When he wants to turn up, he'll turn up and be great. Last night, he did not look like he wanted to be there. He didn't. His body language told me everything I needed to know about him. And this is the question about
how many touches he had in the first 20 minutes, Pete, last night? 4. It was a graveyard shift, mate. It was a graveyard shift.
He can't play up top.
He can't play up top, and that's something that we've all said.
But this is the point. So we have this question about Marcus Rashford, but Marcus Rashford last season had great moments up front where he scored the winning goal against Arsenal, and he was playing fantastic football at times last season. But he turns up when he wants, and his mindset isn't sometimes right, and this is part of the problem.
He was playing off the left when he scored against Arsenal. Martial was lying heading for it.
Okay, but he had games up front where he's played well, and that's the point that I'm making. It's not all about Marcus Rashford. I'm looking at Man United, I'm thinking they're playing exactly the same way, counter-attacking football that they played last season. You're telling me that Erik ten Hag wants to play a different style. Last night was the perfect opportunity to do it, and he didn't do it. And that, for me, rings alarm bells right now, that you've spent a lot of money in the summer on decent players, but you're still playing the same way. That says to me that that's going to continue this season. And this style of play that seems to be fabricated that he apparently wants to play isn't the case.
The biggest worry for me, because I want to close on Man U because we're going to be here all night otherwise, but I want to close on this. The biggest worry for me was everything you've just said. I totally agree with. I actually think that I understand where LB's coming from. Is what has he done in the past? I get that question. He hasn't. He's been at Ajax and he's learnt off Pep and all this kind of stuff. I do think there's problems above him. I do think he's improved. I think he's found Rashford's form because he was. I mean, we just mentioned Rashford, but he has been poor for a few years now, in my opinion. Anyway, for Rashford, hasn't been able to get the England set up and all that. He had a brilliant season under Ten Hag last season. I think he's improved Luke Shaw. I think he's made Wan-Bissaka look half decent again, like he was at Palace. I think he was brilliant. I thought last night he was probably one of the only players I looked at. The biggest concern for me that your midfield was a shambles, mate. Absolute shambles. Casemiro and is world class, but Bruno and Mount, I mean, they never looked like they looked at each other before, let alone play with each other.
I agree with that. They left him on his own. Shambles. We had 2 10s playing it essentially last night, and they were trying to do.
That isn't going to work.
It didn't work.
That is not going to work for me. So there is problems there, but like you've said, and like I've said for a few other teams, the window is 100% still open. People, do me a favour. Go on, Dan.
That's the frustrating thing, though. The window is still open, and we are still looking at players. I'm sick to death of it. Big clubs go out and get the positions they need done and dusted and ready to go. You go back to Newcastle. Newcastle were ready to rock. First game of the season, ready to rock. Answers off the bench if they need it, ready to rock. We go back to last night with the players coming off the bench. Horrendous. City, ready to rock. Simple as that. Arsenal, ready to rock. We are at a position where we are trying to shoehorn players out, and it's the 15th of August. We're shoehorning players out now, not July, not June, not getting these players out the way now, knowing that the money situation wasn't great from the fucking start. And this is where the worry is. And I understand completely where the boys are coming from. I completely get it. And maybe it's blind faith as a Manchester United fan. But at the same time, it's just fucking rotten. It's rotten. And we had this last season, and we'll have it this season again until the Glazers go.